HP sent over their laptop and we're reviewing it today, and this is the model 13-AD015NA, and that model is this version, which is the aluminium version. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got Bang & Olufsen sound in there. It's also got dual Bluetooth connection, or dual Wi-Fi if I remember rightly, and a Bluetooth connection of up to 4.2. And I've been playing around with it, and it is pretty fast with the old connection, even though at the moment it's not connected to the internet, but it will be in a second. It's got lovely little chiplet keys, which is quite standard on an actual keyboard itself. And the screen is a 13.3 inch screen, and it's 1920 by 1080 resolution. And it's all multi-touch screen platform, so whenever you're touching the screen it does different gestures and stuff like that. It's got 1920 by 1080 resolution camera in there, and the camera is a little bit more improved than the normal standard cameras that you normally get in a laptop. The trackpad's quite nice as well. It's got a graphics card in there as well, which is an NVIDIA GeForce. There's an MX250 in there, so it's a little bit slower than a GTX 1050. But it's also only got 2 GB of memory, and I'm playing with stuff at the moment because I've got Adobe on there at the moment, so I'm going to be testing it out to see if it can run like certain programs, because this is basically an all-rounder of a laptop. On the sides it's got a micro SD card on the side there, and a USB 3.1 Type C. It's got both of them. If the laptop goes to sleep, it means that your phone's, if you've got Type C, can charge while it's still going, or any device that uses Type C can charge. It's also got USB 3.1 normal standard A ports on both sides as well, which is quite decent. This laptop does not fully go like a normal tablet or anything like that, so get that out of your head because it will break. It's got a nice little NV logo on there, looks really nice and sleek, and the HP logo on the side there. It's all an aluminium body. And so far while I've been playing around with it, especially with the sound, it sounds awesome. It really does sound really, really good when you've got headphones on. The clarity is nice and crisp, and it's got deep bass, and well, it depends on what headphones you're using, but just whatever the sound card's in there, it's really like pushing the actual sound signature. Taking the 3.5mm jack, which is definitely included on here, out, and then obviously using it just as a normal laptop, the sound sounds really good as well. But I'm going to be demonstrating that all later on in the video, but at the moment it's just talk about specs. So this has got a Core i7 CPU in it, and this is 7500U, and it's clocked at 2.7 GHz and boosts up to 3.5 GHz. Also got 8 GB of DDR3 RAM, and that runs at 1866 MHz, which is quite weird because you expect to have like DDR4 in there because it's got a Cable 8 CPU, but it doesn't work like that. So yeah, it runs at 3.5 gigahertz as a boost end, and 2.7 as a normal standalone end. So the SSD that's in here is a 360 drive. So this is a 360 PCIe M.2 NVMe SSD, and this laptop is pretty slick, as you can see, and it's like really nice. I do like the look of it, and it does feel pretty robust. I've been playing around with it just before Christmas until obviously today, but there's other stuff that I want to try out, like some software and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So it's got a 33.78 diagonal display as well, and it's obviously full HD. It's got ISP and FHD screen, and it's quite glossy, but I've got a few finger marks on there at the moment. We'll clean that off and we'll show you a bit more B-roll and stuff. But yeah, the screen's like really responsive since I've been playing around with it, and other bits on it. It's just the screen's just big enough to actually play around with the keys and stuff. I've tried a little bit of gaming on there, but I've only tried like phone games like Asphalt and stuff. I've got my controller over there, so I tried it with the keys and it felt like a nice experience, and then I would use the joypad and it was pretty cool as well. So when you're using Windows as a balance software, which comes bundled with loads of bloatware, which I don't like about the laptop, because I feel with HP there's a lot of advertisement on there, there's a lot of this, a lot of that, and you don't need it, and it takes up a lot of space. But other than that, it runs pretty well. If you want to get this, you can get this in a terabyte version with that sort of like space and speed as well. But I'm going to be testing out all the speeds and that, because everything I've tested is just real world results to give you my honest opinion and stuff. But I really want to see what synthetic benchmarks I'll get from it as well. But if you're looking for a laptop like this, yes, this is a great all-rounder. You should be able to game at the lowest resolutions. If you compare it to a GTX 1050 with like that will have 2 GB of RAM. This has got 2 GB of RAM. But like, say if we got a game like Tomb Raider or GTA and it's pumping out like 79 frames rates per second, you're literally going to get about half with this, and that's the difference of that graphics card. But this is not a name known for like obviously gaming. But if you go back in time and then you look at other like laptops that came out, you're like, oh, I wonder if it could do this, I wonder if I could do that. And this is obviously where you come and see us a lot. But I'm telling you, yes, you will be able to game, but on a lower resolution. Anything at 1080p and run at under 30 frames per second, it's not going to be very like game friendly. It's going to be not an enjoyable experience. But other than that, you've got like, if the laptop's thin as anything, you've got a micro SD card. So if you're into photography, yes, you can use it for that. After Effects takes a little bit of a long time to load up, but when it loads up, it obviously does work. You only got 8 GB of DDR3, so not DDR4, and it's the lower DIMM. It's like the low energy version, plus the power plus the CPU only runs at around 75 watts. So off, or 75 watts top end anyway, so that means that it's not utilizing loads of power in that, but it's power friendly. It's like pretty awesome. So obviously being this laptop's a nice all-rounder, but the only difference is that this is the U version CPU. So even if you see it's a Core i7 7000U, then that means that it's just an all-rounder. They've got the M versions, and they've got the MQ versions and the QM versions. And even the 6 that like the Skylake version before this, which will be the HQ version, is a lot more powerful than this laptop. So I'm just explaining to you that because it says Core i7 doesn't mean that it's brutally powerful like a desktop like CPU. It's very, very like an all-rounder CPU that can do everything. For using it as a desktop laptop, it's okay for, but using it for gaming, it's okay on the very low market, but at least it can do that, and it can definitely game with like obviously phones or tablets sort of software, and it can utilize other software, like works with documents and stuff like no problem, like Office and everything like that. For people that are on the move, it's pretty light, and I was walking around with it and everything. It's pretty cool. I like it. The weight of it, if I remember rightly, the weight of this is like 1.38 kilograms, which is not heavy at all, and it's like so like just light, but it's pretty robust. It's like really solid and stuff. It's got a battery which is a 3-cell. It's a lithium poly battery, and it's 65 watts. That's what it runs up to. And I did say earlier that the TDP or wattage on the CPU is 75. It's actually 30. So the bus speed of the CPU is 4 GT OPI, and it's got 2 cores and 4 threads. So technically it's alright at multi-challenging software, but it's only very average. It's like sometimes you'll do, like say if I've got After Effects and I've got other tabs up and everything like that, it'll be okay, but you'll notice a little bit of a slowdown. But if you've got it plugged in, it's not too bad. But also when I was gaming, I hardly felt any heat from it underneath. It's pretty crazy. So as I was talking about the webcam, this has got a dual camera on it. It's called HD Wide Vision, and basically it's an enhanced digital optical like camera that's built in, rather than your standard normal just 1920 by 1080 resolution HD camera. This is an actual better camera and better for low light situations. Also, these keys are chiplet keys, but they're also fully lit. So that means that whenever you're going to be using this in the night time, this is why I'm saying it's an all-rounder. It literally is perfect for everyone. So you can use this on the way home or in the dark, whatever, and you'll be able to see what you're actually pressing the keys. So this laptop should last, without me playing around with it or anything like that, it should last you, well, this is what the manufacturer says, 14 hours, 15 minutes, but I definitely got longer. But it also depends on how your own preferences of what you're doing. So say if you're gaming or you pick it up, for like an hour and then put it down, and obviously it's going to deplete depending if you're gaming or if you're working or if you're searching websites. It's going to vary. The actual Wi-Fi camera itself has also got a dual microphone, so it should be able to pick up your vocals pretty well to make sure that you sound really clear, especially if you're using it for Skype and everything like that. So if you're a university or a college student or anything like that, then obviously this would be good for you as well. As I'm saying, this is basically a very good all-rounder laptop, and I'm going to keep saying that. So the graphics card in here is an MX150 by Nvidia, and basically it's a very low end. It's not known as a gaming graphics card, but at least it's got a graphics card on there, which means it's separate from using the memory from your computer on your motherboard. It's also running off a GDR5 as well. But as I said, that this graphics card's got 2 GB of memory, and it's slightly slower than a GTX 1050. And basically your frame rates are going to be near enough cut in half. I know I'm saying it's basically a little bit slower, but when it comes to gaming it's different. Now if it's coming to do resolutions of like Photoshop or After Effects and stuff like that and CUDA cores, then this is not really the laptop for you, but it's still be able to do very light editing. So what we're going to do is going to do a few demonstrations. Got Premiere Pro, After Effects, Photoshop and Illustrator, and we're going to do like going to get the game out, play Asphalt 8 with using a control pad, and then show you like what normal activities you can do on there, and just to see what you can see in real life. So this is real world results rather than synthetic benchmarks. So I've already downloaded the Adobe suite, so I'm going to just go into Adobe right now and I'll load up Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2018. And we're gonna watch how long it is. It'll probably be like sort of like a time lapse sped up, but then you'll obviously see how many minutes or seconds it took. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
afraid, won't let you fall, girl.
So this is an all-rounder laptop, like I said obviously in the previous review. Obviously I've been testing it for the last just before Christmas and everything like that, and talking about if there's any heat issues with the laptop, how light it is there any fatigue with it, and if you can game on there, if you can do some work on there. This is an all-rounder, and I definitely recommend this laptop after you've seen me do it in real life, how you can actually use those bits of software. Like Adobe is pretty hardcore on CPU and RAM accelerated, it really is, but it actually does work on there, and I've got to do and render and export without having to go home and have a cup of tea, come back. So yeah, it's pretty good, definitely recommend it. Link in the description down below. I definitely highly suggest you buy it. Even I would definitely buy it for something that I could take, say if I was going to CES or something like that, or using it on a business trip. Definitely worth it. One thing it doesn't have a HDMI output, so you can't put a secondary screen on there unless you got a type C cable. Then you could use it via USB and do it that way and download some drivers, or may not need to download any drivers, but I know companies do that. I might leave a couple of links in the description down below if you need that, so you can have this and then have another screen. But all in all, glossy screen, stylish, not too heavy, robust. The sounds good, but not too good. It's like it hasn't got no bass in that, but where are you going to put the bass in such a little laptop? But yeah, anyway, see ya. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share and like and all that sort of stuff.